You end every prayer the same way, and you have never once stopped to ask what that word does to you. The same word, every single time, and you never questioned why. You bow your head, you speak to God, you ask, you thank, you confess, and then you close it with one word, Amen. Like sealing an envelope, like signing a contract, like turning off a light. But what if that word is doing something you never intended? What if every time you say it, you're interrupting the very state Jesus told you to remain in? What if the church gave you that word not to complete your prayer, but to end your connection? This is not theology. This is about what happens in your body when you speak that word. And once you see it, you will never pray the same way again. Amen. You learned it before you could spell. Before you understood prayer itself, you were taught how to end it. Stand, bow, speak, close. Amen. It became automatic, muscle memory, spiritual punctuation. You say it after grace, after petitions, after desperate pleas in the middle of the night. No one ever told you why. They just told you to say it, and you did. Because obedience felt safer than awareness. Because everyone else did. But here's what they did not tell you. Amen is not a polite closing. It is a seal, a declaration. It means so be it. It means it is finished. It means let this stand as truth. And that would be fine if you were praying with absolute certainty. If every word you spoke to God came from a place of total alignment. If your heart and your mouth were perfectly unified, but they are not. Most of the time you are praying while doubting, asking while uncertain, speaking while afraid it will not be heard. And then you seal all of that with Amen. You take your doubt, your fear, your wavering faith, and you lock it into place with a single word. The church taught you to do this, not because it completes the prayer, but because it completes you. It signals to your nervous system that the moment is over, that you can return to normal consciousness, that the sacred window has closed, and you do. You say Amen and you open your eyes. You say Amen and you stand up. You say Amen and you check your phone. The connection is severed, not by God, by you. With a word you were taught to repeat without understanding. In a moment, I will show you how Jesus prayed when he was not teaching, when no one was watching. But first, you need to see what he said about the way you have been praying. Let me show you something. Jesus spoke about prayer more than almost any other practice. And in every teaching, he was correcting the way people prayed, not teaching them how, correcting them because they were doing it wrong. Matthew chapter 6, verse 7. When you pray, do not use vain repetitions as the heathen do, for they think that they will be heard for their many words. Vain repetitions, ritual phrases, words said out of habit, not presence. Jesus was talking about religious people, people who had been taught to pray a certain way, to say certain words. And he said, stop, because repetition without presence is performance, and performance is not prayer. Now look at what he said next, Matthew chapter 6, verse 8. Do not be like them, for your Father knows the things you have need of. Before you ask him. Before you ask. He already knows. So what is prayer for? Not to inform God, not to convince him. Prayer is alignment. It is the act of bringing your awareness into union with what already is. It is not about the words you say. It is about the state you enter. And here's the part that matters. Jesus never told you to end your prayers, not once. He told you to enter your closet, to shut the door, to speak in secret. But he never said when to leave. He never said how to close the moment. He never gave you a word to signal that it was over, because it is not supposed to be over. Prayer is not an event. It is a state, a continuous posture of the soul. And the moment you ritualize its ending, you break the state. You step out of alignment, you return to separation, and you do it every time you say Amen. Not because the word is wrong, but because you were taught to use it wrong. Here's what I want you to do. The next time you pray, do not say Amen. Just stop. Stay in the silence. And notice what happens in your body. You will feel it immediately. There will be a pull, an urge to close the moment, to wrap it up, to say the word, because your nervous system has been trained, conditioned, and you mistook that training for faith, to expect closure. Amen is not just a word, it is a somatic trigger, a signal to your body that the sacred moment is ending, and your body obeys. Your breath changes, your posture shifts, your awareness collapses back into the ordinary, all because you spoke a word you were taught to say without thinking. But if you do not say it, if you stay in the silence, something else happens. The state does not close. The connection does not sever. You remain in the presence, and you begin to feel what prayer actually is, not a request sent and sealed, but a doorway you step through and do not leave. This is what Jesus meant when he said to pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17, not to repeat words endlessly, but to remain in the state endlessly, to let prayer become your baseline, not something you do and finish, but something you live inside of. And you cannot do that if you keep sealing it off, if you keep telling your body that the moment is over, if you keep using a word designed to close what was meant to stay open. If you are still here, pause for a moment. Most people would have left by now, not because this is confusing, but because it is confronting. If something in you recognizes what is being said, do not rush past it. Mark this moment. Press like, not as approval, but as a signal. A way of telling the algorithm to carry this to others who are quietly searching. And in the comments, write just 3 words. I am waking up. No explanation, no testimony, just a marker. Those words will mean nothing to most people, but the right ones will understand. Now stay with me. Now let me tell you why this matters beyond your personal prayer life. The church did not give you amen by accident. It was conditioning. Control begins with ritual, and ritual begins with repetition. If they can teach you to end every prayer the same way, they can teach you that prayer has a structure, a beginning, a middle, an end. And if prayer has an end, then it has limits. It becomes something you do at certain times, in certain places, with certain words. It becomes manageable, containable, controllable. But if prayer is a state you never leave, then the church has no power over it. If you are in constant communion, you do not need a priest to mediate. If you carry the presence within you, you do not need a building to access it. If your connection to God is unbroken, you do not need a ritual to remind you it exists. This is why they gave you amen, not to honor God, but to keep you returning, to keep you dependent, to keep you believing that the sacred moment is something that starts and stops, instead of something you are. Jesus knew this. He knew that religion would take the living practice and turn it into performance. That is why he rejected the prayers of the Pharisees, not because they were insincere, but because they were scripted. Luke chapter 18, verse 11. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself. God, I thank you that I am not like other men. Prayed thus with himself, not with God, with himself, because the prayer was not about connection. It was about completion, about saying the right words in the right order so he could walk away feeling righteous. And that is what amen does. It lets you walk away. It gives you permission to stop feeling, to stop listening, to stop being present. And the church needs you to stop, because a person in perpetual prayer is a person who does not need them. So what do you do instead? If you do not say amen, how do you end a prayer? You do not, you let it remain open. You speak your words, you align your heart, and then you become silent. Not the silence of waiting, the silence of dwelling. You do not close the door, you step through it and stay. And if you must speak a word, let it be this: nothing, because the presence does not need confirmation. It does not need your agreement. It does not need you to seal it with language. It simply is, and you are in it, or you are not. Saying amen does not make it true. Remaining in the state does. This is what Jesus demonstrated in the garden, Matthew chapter 26, verse 39. He went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed. Fell on his face, not for a moment, not for a scripted prayer. He stayed there, in the posture, in the plea, in the presence. And when he rose, he did not seal it. He returned to it again and again. Because prayer was not something he did, it was the state he carried. And that is what he came to show you. Not how to perform, but how to remain. Here is what will happen when you stop saying amen. At first it will feel incomplete. Your body will resist. Your mind will search for the closing phrase. You will feel exposed, vulnerable, like you left something unfinished. Good. That discomfort is the signal. It means you are breaking the pattern, and every pattern that breaks creates space for something new. Stay in that space. Do not rush to fill it. Do not replace amen with another word. Just let the silence hold you. And after a while, you will notice something. The prayer does not end. It lingers. It moves with you into the next moment, into the next task, into the next conversation. You carry it. And that is when you realize you were never supposed to stop praying. You were supposed to stop performing prayer. There is a difference, and the difference is amen. One word that was never yours to begin with. Tonight, before you sleep, pray. Speak whatever is on your heart. And when you reach the place where you would normally say amen, stop. Say nothing. Just breathe. And notice if the prayer continues inside you. If it does, you will know. This was always how it was meant to be. This teaching will not be popular. It threatens too much. It removes the boundary between sacred and ordinary. It makes you the priest, the altar, the holy of holies. And institutions cannot survive that. So they will tell you this is dangerous, that it lacks reverence and tradition matters. And tradition does matter. But not when it replaces presence. Not when it becomes a substitute for the living encounter. Jesus did not come to give you better rituals. He came to end the need for them, to show you that the kingdom is within, not within the prayer, within you. And you do not enter it by speaking. You enter it by becoming still, by letting the words fall away, by refusing to close what was meant to stay open. A prayer that must be ended was never communion. It was rehearsal. This is the path he walked, and it is the path he calls you to, not through repetition, through recognition, not through tradition, through transformation. And transformation does not happen in moments you seal. It happens in moments you surrender to, moments that have no ending, only deepening. I am going to leave you with something ancient, not a prayer, a practice. The next time you speak to God, do this. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your heart. Speak your words. And when you are finished speaking, do not move. Do not open your eyes. Do not say amen. Just breathe. And feel the presence that does not leave when your words stop. Stay there as long as you can, and when you finally rise, carry it with you. Let it follow you into your day, into your work, into your sleep. Let it become the baseline, the constant hum beneath every moment. This is what Jesus meant when he said the kingdom is within, not someday, not after death, now. In the space where you stop sealing and start remaining, and do not close this moment, let it stay open, let it move through you. And remember, you were never supposed to end your prayers, you were supposed to become one. Before you move on, understand this. What you just experienced was not opinion. It was not reinterpretation. It was instruction that does not survive being turned into ritual. This teaching only works when it is lived. The moment it becomes belief, it collapses. That is why it was never emphasized, why it was shortened, why it was sealed with repetition instead of practiced in silence. There are other teachings of Jesus that function the same way, clear, precise, and ineffective once institutions try to scale them. Those teachings have been gathered into a private body of work called the Sacred Scrolls. Each scroll breaks down a specific teaching of Jesus, how it actually functions, why it was minimized, and what changes when it is applied without ritual. You will find the scrolls in the description and pinned comment. And because this path is not meant to be walked casually, there is also a private space, not a church, not an audience, a small group of people who are practicing this seriously and quietly. That space is also linked below. Nothing here is meant to convince anyone. If you felt recognition rather than agreement, you already understand why this exists. You now know the difference between ending a moment and remaining in it. What you do next is not belief, it is participation.